In recent months, there's been a lot of talk about the American dream. Since our country's founding in 1776, millions of people have come here from all over the world looking for better opportunities. However, we rarely get to see the personification of the American dream until now. Our first guest is Elizabeth Cordero, who came to the United States with almost nothing and today owns over $2 million in real estate investment holdings. Elizabeth, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Zoe.
Okay, so tell us about coming to the United States, going to school here, what you did when you first started here as far as your work goes.
When I first came to the United States, I actually came when I was 14. My mother had no other way to bring me, so I crossed the desert when I came with her. And we were just very young. We came with other teenagers, so we kind of struggled to get to the States. Obviously, I didn't speak any English, and I was lucky enough to go to high school. My sister had to work so that we could pay the debt that my mom had incurred for, bringing us to the state. My first job, to be honest, I don't quite remember my very first job, but I do remember getting into cleaning business because I didn't have a social security number after I graduated from high school, so I couldn't apply for a job. So I went to a company, ended up just doing cleaning, and that's how I started in the workforce, I guess. I started my own cleaning company, so I started working for this company, and I worked around scientists, and they will say, hey, can you come and clean my house on the weekends? And I'll be like, okay. So it was kind of a little bit of math. I would make probably $60 in one day working 10 hours a day. And if I went and cleaned their house, I would get like $50. And that was a lot of money for me. And there's this lady that take me outside in the snow and can you pick up the dog's poo? I'll pay you $50. And I'm like, $50 and I'll be there for 2 hours. So I thought, man, that's good money. So I started cleaning. I started doing the house cleaning business. I brought my sister and then my mom, and then all of a sudden my family was helping me. We're hiring people out.
So you had your own business at this point?
Yeah, at that point, I was probably in my early 20s, maybe 22. And so that's how I started to become financially, I started to have more means than I did before when I was making $6 or $8 an hour.
Yeah.
And my dream was always to own a home because we didn't have that right in Mexico. So I bought my very first home, and that was in 2009. I bought a house I bought a house in West Valley. People probably don't know what that is. But this house was very good because I had saved some money. I was still living, I guess, a lifestyle of $6 an hour, right? I was always a saver. And I went and I saved $60,000. And so I gave those $60,000 as a down payment for my very first home. It was hard because I did not, I had an IT number was given to pay taxes. So it was difficult to get a loan. I went to 14 different banks and I would be my own loan officer. I was thinking they wouldn't figure it out, right? But it wasn't true. And it was a difficult experience to own my very first home. I paid it off within 2 years. I got a line equity of credit on it at probably 2% at the time. I took the money, bought a second property, paid it off. Then I took that same line of equity, bought a third property, and paid it off as well. And at that point, I'm thinking there's got to be another way. I cannot always be paying these houses. A lot of work. And I was renting each house. So I'm like, I'm renting always. As soon as I moved into the house, I rented my basement, I rented the rooms, I rented as much as I could. So all my money will go towards the houses. And then after that, I started doing, that's when I got my documents maybe around 2014. And I went right away and got my real estate license.
Awesome.
And that's when I started going to the Salt Lake Association of Real Estate Investors here in town. And I started learning about other creative ways of buying property. And so instead of putting $100,000 to buy a house, I would only use $20,000, $5,000, and that's why I could acquire more property. And obviously they're all rented out. I have really good properties. Some of them are, they were paid off for 10 years for the owner. They could no longer afford the house, so I would pay the investor a little bit of money, and then I would pay the owner some money. I will bring the home current. I will keep the house, the loan. And I have property. I think I really like this example because it's really a win-win situation for everyone, where the owner saved his credit, and I was able to get this property with equity. It cash flowed very well every month. And what is the other thing? I guess, oh, it has good interest rate, and it's rented out, it's being rented out, have really good tenants. And a lot of the properties, it's knowing how to use the money to benefit more.
So is that like advice you'd give to women who are interested in investing in real estate?
I think my advice would be save money.
Yeah.
You cannot be an investor if you don't save. If you're not willing to sacrifice, like if you like a purse, a $300 purse, and you'd rather buy that than save and buy yourself maybe a $10, or maybe the same one at the hand store for like $5, you might have a little bit of problem.
Yeah.
But you gotta start saving. I think that's the very first thing you gotta do.
Yeah, absolutely. So what organizations are you involved in here in Utah and nationally? Are there any national organizations?
I'm with the Utah Association of Real Estate Investors. That's kind of like a national chapter here in our city. I'm also part of the Salt Lake Real Estate Investments Associations. I'm also with the National Association of Hispanic Realtors, NAREP. They're all really good organizations. I'm also with MJ Real Estate, who is my mentor, my coach, and part of United Way. I try to give back to the community, and that's mostly the main organizations I'm part of.
Awesome. Well, if you're interested in learning any more about the organizations that Elizabeth's mentioned here, we've got them at the end of this episode. And don't forget to follow us on social media for more stories of inspiring women and to nominate a heroine of your very own.
Girls, 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 girls. Who be the queen of the ball? I roll true, let it shock all of y'all. I know like a fly on the wall.